Hi, I'm Bruce Gibbs. I'm president of ServiceMark Telecom, and in this podcast, I'll be covering phone systems and services for school districts. Some background, we work with some very large suburban school districts, some of them as big as 15,000 students. And so we have done some of those, but where we do the most of our work is to small rural school districts, to where we seem to be a fit a great majority of the time. And what's kind of interesting is that they will contact us, find us on our website, and have their RFP process. And on almost every time, we tend to get the large majority of school districts in small towns, like maybe 80 to 90% of the time they go with us whenever it comes to a phone system and phone service. And there's one very simple reason for this is because in this day and age, there's two different directions to go whenever it comes to telephone system and service. One of them is commonly referred to in the industry as an on-premise phone system, which simply means that the hardware and software, the brains, the central processing unit, and all the programming is in equipment in the back room. It's still a high-tech solution in many regards. It's going to be something that looks like data equipment. It goes into a 19-inch rack. It connects to voice over IP telephones in almost all cases, most of the cases for a school that is on somebody's data network, but it's backroom equipment. The other way that businesses and organizations can go is to look at having everything in the cloud, meaning the programming, the configuration, everything doesn't really require hardly any backroom equipment. But maybe desk phones, maybe even not that, soft phones or applications on smartphones, but everything's in the cloud. Those are the two different directions of going. In our industry, it seems like vendors and manufacturers seem to really want to push everything to the cloud. And a lot of vendors like, our counterparts and our competitors really don't care too much about pursuing the on-premise equipment. For us, we do both, and we do both of these extremely well. So our history has been on-premise telephone systems, backroom equipment, but yet we're doing a lot with both Zoom cloud services as well as NEC cloud services as well. So here's the way the conversation normally goes with a school district. If we go with an on-premise phone system, and I'll give you an example, I'm thinking of a school district that needed 50 phones. So they're going to pay us a lug up front for the telephone system and all the installation and all those configuration things. We're going to design it and deploy it extremely well. We're going to train them well, and we will train their IT staff or vendor to be able to easily make changes to the system if they want us to. They can lean on us if they want as well. It's a capital expense. Many times a school district has bond money to spend, and so they're going to prefer a capital expense up front. And we're able to show small school districts, as long as they have reliable internet, to decrease their monthly expenses, because we can deploy an on-premise telephone system, which to what we call in the industry voice over IP SIP trunks, that simply is going to ride their internet connection, which is now a proven and reliable way of transmitting phone calls, whereas 5-6 years ago, it was not. So it's a capital expense. We're going to look, if anything, to hopefully decrease monthly expenses for the school district. The other way, and I'm going to take a school district with an example of 50 phones, is to put everything in the cloud. If we do that, then they will pay on a per handset or per user basis times the number of users, which I'm using the example of 50. In that particular case, there's not going to be as much of an upfront capital expense, but the monthly expense will go up enormously. Sometimes it's not always about cost, and I can tell you a reason that a lot of companies and organizations are going to the cloud is because of this. The tipping point was about 3 years ago, to where prior to 3 years ago, people really didn't care that much of investing in technology that would allow employees to work from any location, from any device. They didn't really care. All that changed 3 years ago, to where now, for many companies, being able to work seamlessly from any location, from any device, becomes extremely important without it being cumbersome with hardware firewalls and routers and things like that in their home. For an example, at ServiceMark, it's extremely important for us to have our employees to seamlessly work from any location, from any device. And sometimes it's not always in their home. One of the examples that I give of myself is our company is in the Kansas City area. I got grandkids in Colorado, and habitually I'm in the passenger seat of my car from a laptop computer on I-70 tied into our communications platform for voice, but it's also chat and video conferencing. And I'm just on I-70 driving down the road, and everything works darn near flawlessly. And it doesn't look like I'm even displaced from my office building in regards to my interaction with employees, including instant messaging and voice and video conferencing, or to the rest of the world. That same sort of seamless connectivity to our communications platform is also extended to my smartphone device, everything the same way. For us at ServiceMark, this is extremely important to provide this flexibility. It is one of the keys for us to hold on to valuable employees, many because of responsibilities at home or moving a little bit further from the office, has allowed us to retain really great employees here at ServiceMark. For school district, it's typically something that's not as important up to this point. As much as there was remote learning and everything else, having this kind of seamless connectivity outside the school district may be limited to just one or two people, or just a handful at most that may really want full functionality working from home. In that particular case, we can still make it work very well with the on-premise solution, have it be a capital expense, and if anything, reduced monthly expense. And that becomes a good play for school districts, and that's why they're so interested in us, and why the great majority of the time we win RFPs for small school districts, whereas others, everybody just wants to push the cloud. And we love the cloud, we love what it does, but we are going to talk about what technology really fits. And thus far within schools, an on-premise telephone system with SIP trunks to reduce monthly costs tends to be the play. I think there may be a tipping point in education. In some large suburban school districts, we are talking about the possibility of having applications on computers, applications on smartphones. Now teachers could be able to have this functionality that moves with them. They don't feel displaced. And I think the advantage for the teachers is that business telephone numbers would be transmitted, whether it be a voice communication or texting to all the parents. I think it's a huge advantage to organizations and the teachers themselves to have a healthy boundary between their personal cell phone and their work life. So I think that there's some reasons also to talk about the cloud. I think there may be a tipping point to where school districts may be interested in the cloud for this reason. I could foresee that at some point in time, maybe we don't need desks in every classroom, but instead have an application on computer screens and laptops that are provided by a school district, and the whole communications platform for voice, and I might also add texting, would come out of an application on their computer, and telephone numbers for either voice communications or texting would come out of a business number for the district, as opposed to a teacher's cell phone. That same application that resides on a laptop computer also could be duplicated on a smartphone to provide a healthy boundary for teachers and staff to have their telephone numbers be business numbers as opposed to disclosing personal cell phone numbers. So anyway, provides a healthy boundary, from between work and the rest of their personal life. Our employees at ServiceMark have that boundary, and I could foresee that can be a discussion point for school districts. But thus far, that tipping point hasn't happened. The good news is we are in a position to talk about both an on-premise solution as a cloud solution and provide the solution that is the best fit on what the district really needs and what's also most cost effective. I welcome you, the listener, to contact ServiceMark Telecom for a free consultation. ServiceMark assists all sizes of clients, including school districts, with our team of experts, and we're ready to help you implement a phone system or services that's the right fit for your district.